Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. We just wrapped up analysis on games number 1 and 2. Before we jump into analyzing game number 3, I want to remind you guys, if you're interested in any of the graphics you saw in that short promo, maybe working on producing those things to be later used in video games or in esports content, go check out www.fullsail.edu/MLG. All it takes is about a minute of your time to just tell them what type of programs you might be interested in, and they'll give you packets on what type of programs they have in video engineering, audio engineering, 3D animation, video production, all this cool type of stuff that's used to make a career later in the game development sphere. So it's a cool opportunity. Check it out if you're not sure what type of education you want to pursue in the coming years. It's just a brief moment of your time, and it could be enlightening. Now let's talk about Thorzain versus Creator, game number 3. So a couple things I want to talk about are going to be defending Widowmine drops as Protoss. Then we're going to talk about conservative drop play. Thorzain style drop play is pretty conservative. And then we'll talk about attacking in late game Terran versus Protoss. So we're going to just get into this replay. And the first thing we're going to talk about here is on defending these Widowmine drops. So to do these Widowmine drop defenses, it's very important. Oops, let me rewind it just a little bit more. The couple things that are important is, one, to first recognize that a Widowmine drop might be a threat. So if you're a Protoss player and you scout your opponent and you know they have gas, right? The probe scout saw gas, then it died. You know that there's a possibility for a Widowmine drop. It's a possibility. If there's a possibility, you should prepare for it. So how do you prepare for it? Well, first he's going to put a probe here to potentially scout a medevac, but you might not even scout the medevac. It could circumvent the probe, but it always helps, right? The other thing he's going to do is he's going to keep units back to defend the drop, right? So he's going to keep the Militia Corps back here. He also has to guard the front because he saw Marines here, so he's going to put Stalkers getting ready to micro against the Marines. Then the Mothership Corps plus Sentry plus Zealot will cover the Widowmine drop. What's most important is have detection, because sometimes you can kill these Widowmines before they burrow. Sometimes you can't. So always have either an Observer or a Photon Cannon in your mineral line. This time it's the Observer. He gets it there. And while the Widowmine, of course, one of them dies, the other one will get one hit off, but it's not a big deal. 2 probes is definitely a loss worth taking. Meanwhile, of course, these 2 Stalkers drove the Marines out, not getting any kills on the Marines, but they're able to push them back to the Watchtower and get a few free hits. So a very, very convincing defense by Creator, and it puts him significantly ahead, right? Thorzain's expansion is just finishing up. Normally it should have been done significantly ago, but he got the factory in the starport before, trying to get some damage done, wasn't able to quite get it. Going forward, though, just because you aced the first test, right? You aced the midterm doesn't mean you passed the class. You still got to pass the final exam. So again, both their bases, either a Photon Cannon or an Observer. So in the main, he keeps this Observer here. In the natural, he has this Observer. It's all looking good. But then what happens? Well, all of a sudden, this Observer starts going somewhere else. And this is risky, right? Unless you know for sure there's a Widowmine drop. This Observer going out here. The reason why, he wants to make sure there's no mine at his third base, so he can take a third base. Which is not a bad idea, but before you do that, have an extra Observer. It's never bad to have 3 Observers anyway. Or you have the Forge. Go ahead, build 1 cannon back here, because Widowmine drops, if you don't have cannons, can potentially be devastating. Now, you can deal with them. You can run all the probes and just lose a bunch of mine time, which sucks, but it's better than dying. But sometimes if you run the probes a second too late, that's what happens. All of a sudden, what was a failed Widowmine drop and even gets out there without losing anything, he just got like 9, 10 more probe kills there. He's up to 12 now. And it's basically evened out the game. You can see here, Workers, Protoss is about 3 ahead, which is normally where they are in a typical game. Terran gets expansion faster, but it has to slow down to build orbital commands, and then, of course, Protoss has Chrono Boost. So typically about 3, somewhere between 3 and 5 probes ahead, so it's about a normal game here. And it's kind of evened up. So defending Widowmine drops, always have those Observers there, along with some units, or just a Photon Cannon. That'll do great as well. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about as we go through here is Thorzain's style of drop play, right? So take a look at this from Thorzain's point of view. He has this medevac here, right? And this is threatening drops into main or natural, but we can see here, of course, Creator is ready to feedback it, ready to intercept it here as well. What else does Thorzain have? He's got 2 drops over here, ready to threaten drops into the main, but Creator, again, is defending that. And Thorzain's final element is he has more troops mustering over here. He can load those up there, and he has another set of drops ready to push at the third, but again, Creator has units ready to defend the third base. So, as a Terran player, what can you do here? Well, if you're watching some players like Innovation Marine King, what they might do, they may try to do what we talked about earlier, which is where you grab all your medevacs, you group them, first you kill observers. So your opponent still thinks those drops are threatening the main natural. Then what you do is you bring the medevacs from the main down, you get him ready, and you go kill the third base because there's only like an Archon and 3 Zealots there. The rest of their army's guarding from the drop that thinks hitting the main. So you can do that. Sometimes it'll look great, but if you're not sure you kill all the observers, you could get broadsided, lose a bunch of medevacs to feedback, get ambushed, burn a bunch of stims, get a bunch of units hurt. It can be very dangerous. So Thorzain, of course, he's a more conservative drop player. And what he does is he positions these medevacs and units everywhere. While he says, yes, if I think I can do a lot of damage, I'll get in there and do it. But otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this threat to make sure I don't die in the mid-game. If my opponent moves out and tries to do this big push at me, I can just, make a wall here, put all my units here, sacrifice my natural third base, and I'll drop all his bases at once and knock him out of the game. But if he's going to stay defensive, I'm not going to try to find a hole. I'll just be happy to take it to a late game. Right? And that's okay, because we can see what Thorzain doing. He's getting 2/2 upgrades, and he's getting ghosts. So he's not using the drops to try to get in there and deny the third base. He's not trying to get in there and kill his opponent creator. What he's trying to do is use him as a way to get into the late game. And then, of course, he's going to think about doing the big drop. But this drop here, it's mostly ready, so if this Marine sees a big Protoss army coming out the front, then he drops in. He's not going to try to make an opening. He's not going to try to make his opponent make a mistake. He'll just only use the drops if they do make the mistake. When Thorzain's time of the game when he tries to force mistakes is in the late game when he can utilize the Ghost Micro. That's his key skill set. So in the mid game, if they make a mistake, he'll go and he'll win it. But he's not going to try to find an opportunity. He's not going to try to poke at them and try to see if they'll misstep, if they can keep up with his movements. But now as we get to the later game, all of a sudden he has the Ghost, and that's where he can be in a better position to do damage. So he's going to look to say, okay, I have 2/2 now. Can I get anything done with 2/2 upgrades? Well, should I charge in here? That looks scary. Maybe not, right? Because he doesn't feel compelled to get in there and do a lot of damage. He doesn't feel compelled to try to pump fake his opponent and force a mistake. He's just going to say, okay, does he have Ghosts in the front? Or, sorry, excuse me. Does he have High Templar in the front? I can snipe off and get a small advantage going forward. If he does, I'll take them. If he doesn't, I'm not going to risk charging in there when, there could be a Templar like lurking here and lurking here. There could be somewhere just behind the horizon. I don't want to risk engaging an army that I'm not confident I can beat. As long as I know, I'll just go to the late game. Once I get 3/3, my Ghost count increases, my 2 foot army control is very good. That's where I do best. Now I see the probe there. Let's go make sure there's no 4th base. We definitely don't want that to happen. So he's going to go deny the 4th base. And as soon as he denies the 4th base, that's gonna tell Creator, okay, Creator, now's your chance to come out because some of my units are distracted. I don't have the great concave set up, and so Creator can come out and fight. Thorzain says, okay, I'm just going to retreat again. I killed the 4th base. I didn't have the best concave, so I'll just give up some ground and retreat to get to the super late game. Going forward, of course, both players are going to equalize. Both players are now a little bit of a Zealot counterattack, actually. Nice move there. I think he got a couple of Ghosts and another Zealot getting a lot of SCV kills. But basically, he's going to even out to the super late game. Yes, Thorzain wasn't able to get advantage. Yes, Thorzain doesn't have the food advantage that a lot of the Terrans will have at this stage. But he does have a very scary army and 3/3 on the way. And once 3/3 hits, that's when he's going to be looking to engage before his opponent can get like a 20 Warp Gate mass warping effect, before his opponent can trade off the Zealots and get a high Colossi count, before all those scary late game Protoss things come into play. So now this is again that stage of late game TVP if you want to put on pressure and attack. Why does he want to attack? Well, because he has 3/3. His opponent can only get... He can't improve upgrades. Whatever upgrades his opponent is at, his opponent can continue improving him. Even if his opponent was 3/3, the shields could improve, but as is, Thorzain can't improve upgrades anymore in the next 2 seconds. The other thing is, he scans, right? He sees there's not too many Colossi. If there's a small number of Colossi, then as Terran, what you want to do is you want to push in one direction. And the 2 things you want to watch out for are, 1, can my opponent flank me back here? Well, I'm going to scan up here. Keep eyeballs on it. And then 2, where the High Templar? That's the threat. So I'm going to scan up here. And this is just Thorzain's point of view.